Hi everyone, it's Katie and I am back with a fun shaker card for Valentine's Day. This card is for the Sweet Sketch Sunday, which the information is on my blog and will be linked in the bottom of this video along with all of the supplies used in today's video. This video is kind of a comedy of errors and I will share that with you, but I thought I've gone to all the work, so I'm going to start working on it and just share it with you anyway. The first thing that I am working here with is the Simon Says Stamp Sweetheart Tag die. And when I found this die, I really was drawn to it thinking, oh, I've got to make a shaker card. And it took me a few tries to figure out how to get that to work. And it ended up being mostly a flat card just because the dimensions on the side of this tag were a little bit smaller for the foam tape that I use. So I ran this through my Big Shot with some cherry cardstock and die cut that out, and then I ran it through again with the vintage cream cardstock, and this is kind of going to be the main panel of my card. So I just kind of tilted it a little bit so that it would fit on there properly and would look good when it is shaking, and ran it through my Big Shot again. And then I popped out the tag cut part, and I'm just going to use this outer shell, but I'm going to save this part for later on and I'll show you that when I get to it. And then I went ahead and got my card base. My card is going to be a 5.5 by 5.5 inch card, and so I'm using this red cherry cardstock for the back, and I have this cream. And I've just got a piece of acetate that I'm going to adhere to the back that will hold the sequins in. And I will link into this video and on my blog post where I picked up this acetate, but you can get acetate anywhere. You can use leftovers from packaging, and that seems to work really well too if you want to reuse the stuff you have instead of just throwing stuff away. So there I've got it mounted to the back of my cream cardstock, and I have my tag, and I punched out all the little pieces on the inside and all the different hearts that pop out, and I'm going to kind of layer it. It's going to be inset in this cream cardstock, and I'm just using my Tombow Mono multi-glue, which says do not use because the children always take off with my stuff and then I can't find it. And I just applied a very, very small amount because I don't want it gushing out past the sides. This is a very thin cut that this die made. And so I went ahead and I glued it all around there and sped up the video. And I saw that there was a couple of places there where I thought it might gush out. So I just spread them out. I'm not applying more glue right here. I'm just using the tip to spread it out. And then I'm going to layer it inside there, and this glue does kind of gush anyway, so I had a few places where it kind of made a mess, and I just used a baby wipe that's kind of been laying on my desk, so it's not really wet, it's just kind of damp, and cleaned up some of the spots and took them off. I'm using the Textile Keep It Simple stamps from Paper Tray Ink. This is the Happy Valentine's Day stamp set, and they're all one piece, of course, but that didn't work for the image that I'm using, so I cut them apart. And don't freak out because you can very easily put them back together and line them up if you need to, if you want to make the whole strip sentiment. So I cut them apart because I wanted them to go on this little circle, scallop circle die that I cut out of the cream cardstock, and I stamped them on using Memento black ink, and then I just cleaned them off with a baby wipe when I was done and put them away. I do normally use stamp cleaner, but for these small words I didn't want to have to drag out the stamp cleaner. I just used the baby wipe that I had right there. And I kind of offset the day at the bottom because I had future plans, which you will see when we get to that point. And I have my little oval ready to go. And then I just put these back on and lined them up. And like I said, you can very simply put them back together on your acrylic block and use them as a long strip later on. Now I'm kind of to the point where I'm ready to assemble with the sequins, and I thought that I had enough foam tape and I didn't. So I went to the store thinking I'd seen this there, and we live in a small town, so we don't have a craft store at all. So I got this mounting tape and it was really thin. So I thought I gotta just get this done because I'd already stopped the video and waited 2 days before I could get to the store. That's how small of a town we live in. So I went with it and I just double layered it and it worked out just fine. No big problem. It just wasn't what I wanted. So I put 2 layers of this tape on there and then I made sure it was going to work. And I didn't really like just red behind there because I'm having the sequins. So I used some more of this paper. This paper is really old crate paper that I've gotten many years use out of. And so then I've got my sequins here that I also got from Simon Says Stamps. And I was going to try to carefully pull them apart and they flew all over. It was just one of those projects. And so I just ripped them apart and started filling my thing. And I'll find a little way to store them later on. But I just said I want to get this done and go with it. So I filled them with the red and the pink. And kind of wish that I would have had some white. But I think that the red and the pink are going to be fun and match really well. And after I had them in there, then I pulled the tape off. And I didn't want to flip it over. So I laid the white cardstock down and I put the back on there, and it was kind of a tedious process. And those little sequins are very staticky and stick to everything that they're not supposed to stick to. Go figure. So I got all the tape off of there, laid it out, and got ready to adhere it to the back. And there you go. I have it on there and I've got my little sequins inside and they're ready to shake. And now I'm ready to finish the front of the card. Again, I'm working with the sketch from Sweet Sketch Sunday. It's one of my favorite sketch sites and I have linked that on my blog. And I wanted to do a little banner hanging down. And this is how I notch pretty much all of my banners. I used this punch from Stampin' Up. It was like an old photo corner punch. And I know that I've mentioned it before on my blog and maybe on a video, but I have never used it for the photo corners. I've always used it to make this little notch because it's perfect every single time. And I cannot eyeball that. So I just have that punch handy on my desk and it works amazing. So I used some foam dots or foam squares to pop up the top because that's going to stick out over the top of the cream cardstock and attach to the cherry cardstock, and then I just used my ATG gun to tape the rest of it on there. And then I pulled out my sentiment that I stamped earlier, and I'm going to glue that onto the front using my ATG gun. And then for embellishing, I'm going to put all those little hearts that I punched out of the red tag and the white tag on the front of my card, and I'm just using some of my Tombow Mono multi-glue. I put it on an acrylic block, and I'm using my quick stick pen for picking up and placing. I have to say that this was way worth the money, this little tool, for getting all of these little pieces. I can put some glue on and use the end of it like this and pop them on there. It's amazing. And I tried to be really careful and not get too much glue when I was putting these on there. That little circle there is an element for the tag that die cuts out. But on this large red one, I got a little crazy with the glue and it splooshed out all over. But glue dries and you can wipe it up. And I have one of those little sticky things that erases it right off of the card. And so that wasn't a problem at all. But I decided I wanted to add some of the white also, just for the heck of it. I had that there and I thought I would use it. And as you can see, I put one of the hearts there next to the day. That was kind of my forethought that I had earlier when I was stamping it out. And I just used all the rest of the hearts and got them decorated. And that is my card front. And now I'm using a sheet of 11-inch by 5.5-inch, and I'm scoring it at 5.5-inch, so it makes a 5.5-inch square card. And that's going to be my card base. And I made the front there just a little bit smaller, I think a 5.25 by 5.25, and attached it to the front of my card base. So that is my shaker card. It's very simple, few steps, a little bit of errors on my part, supplies and operator error both. But I ended up with a really fun card that I'm excited to share for Valentine's Day. I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you. Make sure that you give me a thumbs up. I love those. And I hope to be back soon with a new card later on. Make sure you check out the links in the bottom of this video and check out my blog post where all of the supplies will be listed. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.